And it's nice to have like 8-hour numbers.
Yeah, 8 hours to get airplanes. 8 hours by car.
They beat each other up, man. They beat each other up.
29. Actually, is an IT person. He also has a nice job, but his real job is blood. That's where he makes his money. He's practically a collectible toys.
Are you guys hearing an echo?
Are you hearing
an echo?
Yes, there's an echo.
I don't know why. Yeah.
Come back.
Is that better? So we set a goal for tonight to do services in 1 hour. This is an extremely unrealistic goal. So with that said, we're going to really get started. We are delighted that you're here tonight. It's wonderful to see so many people in the sanctuary, and we hope you'll enjoy being in this sacred space and that we can enjoy being together. We are particularly excited that William and Daniel become bar mitzvah tomorrow morning. And whatever you're doing to your cufflink, it's probably going to have to wait for a second because I'm going to invite you and Mom up, page 120, to light the Shabbat candles. Oh, dear my friend, I sing to you. Be gracious to the ones I love, and bless them with goodness and mercy and peace. Oh, hear my prayer to you. As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light,
so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu ladlik ner shel Shabbat. Baruch atah Adonai. Sorry, I always do that. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu ladlik ner shel Shabbat. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the light of Shabbat. Let us light these lights and see the way to you, and let us say Amen. Let us light these lights and see the way to you, and let us say Amen.
We turn now to page 127. If you have a book that has numbers in brackets, follow those numbers. If there are no brackets, just ignore them. And we pray responsibly. There are days when we seek things for ourselves and measure failure by what we do not gain. On Shabbat, we seek not to acquire, but to share. There are days when we exploit nature as if it were a horn of plenty that can never be exhausted.
On Shabbat, we stand in wonder before the mystery of creation.
There are days when we act as if we care nothing for the rights of others.
On Shabbat, we remember that justice is our duty and a better world our goal.
So we embrace Shabbat, day of rest, day of wonder, day of peace. Page 146, and we rise for L'chad. We don't rise yet. At the last verse, we'll rise for L'chad. Sit. 138, sorry, 138. השמיענו אל המיוחד, אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, השם עוד יברך ולתהילה, וחדתי וכבר קלה, ולפני שבת נתקבלה, וחדתי וכבר קלה, ולפני שבת נתקבלה. מתעוררים וגוררים, כימורים ומימורים, וביורים שדברים, כבודני לא ידידה, לחדתי וכבר קלה, ולפני שבת נתקבלה, לחדתי וכבר קלה, ולפני שבת נתקבלה. Now we rise to greet the sun. Turn around and face the Lord. Moed shalom ater kalav, v'simcha u'sola, tov emunei am segula, boi kala, boi kala. We turn back together. Lift up your deep, it's rock standing as we turn to page 146. Now that we've greeted the Shabbat bride and we've greeted Aaron and Elise who walked in. We walked in at the perfect time, like with Shabbat. It was nice. Page 146, L'Baruchu.
Baruchu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed.
We remain standing as we continue on page 149. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, together from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath glides the sail of the stars, creator of the tide of time and light. You guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai, Ma'ariv Arabi. Ahavat Olam, page 150.
Ahavat Olam, Beit Yisrael, Ahavta. Torah u'mitzvot, Chukim u'mishpatim, Otanu limadta. Akein Adonai Eloheinu, B'shomeinu v'komeinu, Nasiach b'chukecha, V'nismach b'divrei Toratecha, U'b'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed. Ki hem chayenu, Ve'orech yamneinu, uvehem negeh yomam v'layla. Ve'achmatcha v'asir mimenu le'olamim, Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto le'olam va'ed.
Please be seated as we continue together with the V'ahavta in Hebrew and remind ourselves of the ways that we take these instructions to heart and put them in the forefront of our minds. Together. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha v'chol levavcha v'chol nafshecha v'chol meodecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'eleh Asher anochi mitzavcha hayom al levavecha, v'shinantan levanecha v'dibarta bam, v'shivtecha b'veitecha, uvlechtecha v'derech, u'shaftecha u'kumecha, u'kshartam le'ot al yadecha, v'hayu letotafot bein einecha, u'ktavtam al mezuzot beitecha, u'visharecha. Lama'an tizkaru va'asitem et kol mitzvotai, yitem kiroshim le'elohechem. Ani Adonai Elohechem, asher hotzeti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim, lehiot lachem le'elohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem. On page 157, standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before we ever stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, and that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together. Nichamocha, page 158. This won't count toward our time.
Oh no.
No.
Someone put the stop on the timer.
Exactly.
I have it all tuned. Didn't
I believe you. I can't hear it. I can't hear it. We turn to page 160. And of course, I'm thrilled that everyone is here, and I really am, and thrilled that our friends are on Zoom. But I particularly want to welcome Susan Rudman and Vanessa Newman, who just got back from Israel, and are probably still jet lagged, and we're just can't wait to hear all about your trip. And I feel like you're bringing extra spirituality into the sanctuary tonight, all that good Jerusalem energy. So welcome, welcome back. We prayed together on page 161, the second prayer. Give us a place to rest, Adonai, our God. Bring us into shelter in the soft, long evening shadows of your truth. For with you are true protection and safety, and in your presence are acceptance and gentle love. Watch over us as we go forth. Prepare for us as we return. Spread over us your shelter of peace, over all we love, over our Jerusalem and yours. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu v'al kol amo Yisrael v'al Yerushalayim. Vishamru, page 162, as we continue to feel the joy of Shabbat.
Vishamru, b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל עוד היא לעולם, עוד היא לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
to page 166, and we rise for the Avot V'Imahot.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzhak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el HaGadol, HaGibor, HaNorah, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei HaKol, V'Zocher Chasdei Avot V'Imahot, U'Mebיא Gevula L'Ifnei Bneihem, L'Ma'an Shemo V'Ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshiach U'Magin, Baruch atah Adonai, Magin Avraham Ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Le'Adonai, Mechayei HaKol Atah Rab Le'Hoshia, Mechaper L'Chaim V'Chesed, Mechayei HaKol V'Rachamim Rabim, Zomek Nolim V'Rofei Holim, U'Matir Asurim, U'Mechayei Mehunato L'Shenei Afar, Michamocha Ba'al Gevurot, U'Midam Elah, Melech Memit U'Mechayeh, U'Matzmiach Yeshua, V'Ne'eman Atal HaChayot HaKol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayei HaKol.
Atah Kadosh V'Shimcha Kadosh U'Kadoshim B'chol Yom Yehalelucha Selah. Baruch Atah Adonai Ha'el HaKadosh. Please be seated. We continue on page 173. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace.
May all who hurt find healing on this day.
May all who despair find purpose.
May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day.
And may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai mikadesh hashabbat. Page 175. You are with us in our prayers, our love, our doubt, in our longing to feel your presence and do your will. You are the still, clear voice within us. Therefore, O God, when doubt troubles us, when anxiety makes us tremble, when pain clouds the mind, we look inward for the answer to our prayers. There may we find you, and there find courage, insight, and endurance. And let our worship bring us closer to one another, that all Israel and all who seek you may find new strength for your service. Baruch atah Adonai, she'otcha levadcha be'ira na'am. We take a moment to pray, offer a prayer of thanksgiving, and I invite you, especially in this month of November with our Thanksgiving holiday, to just close your eyes for a moment and think about all the things that you are thankful for. Maybe you can quickly picture them, the people, the places, the things. Together, the Chatima in Hebrew, Baruch atah Adonai, hato shimcha l'chana'eh lehodo. Blessed are you, Adonai, your name is goodness, and you are worthy of thanksgiving. We pray for peace. Page 178.
this way. Deep. Shalom Ra'ah, Yisrael Tasim Leolam. Shalom Ra'ah, Yisrael Tasim Leolam. Ki Adon Melech Adon L'chol HaShalom. Shalom Ra'ah, Yisrael Tasim Leolam. Shalom Ra'ah, Yisrael Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam.
We take these next few moments for silent prayer to listen to the inner longings of our hearts and our souls, and to just sit in companionable silence.
Esainai el Heharim Be'ayin Yavo Ezri Me'im Adonai Ose Shamayim Va'aretz Ayitei Lamot Raglecha Ayanum Shomrecha Hine lo yanum Belo Yishan Shomer Yisrael Adonai Shomrecha Adonai Tzilcha Al Yad Yeminecha Yomam HaShemesh Lo Yakeka Yareach B'layla Adonai Yishmocha Mikol Ra Yishmor et nafshecha Adonai Yishmor Tzedka Uvodecha Me'ata ve'ad olam Me'ata ve'ad olam.
That's beautiful. Thank you both. Wow. Like that. So this week's parsha is Vayetze. And it made me think of a question. When does Adonai, when does God appear to Jacob? When the very beginning of our parsha, God appears to Jacob at night in a dream. Probably at a moment when Jacob was feeling despair and anxiety about his journey, about where he was going. Was he headed in the right direction? He was running away from having stolen the birthright from Esau. He was out there in the wilderness alone. It's very scary. But God appears in a dream in the middle of the night. I love this story, so I actually want to read you some verses from the Torah and then take you where I want to take you. Jacob left Beersheba and set out for Haran. He came upon a certain place and stopped there for the night, for the sun had set. Taking one of the stones of that place, he put it under his head and he lay down in that place. He had a dream. A stairway, a ladder was set on the ground, and its top reached to the sky, to the Shemayim, to the heavens. And the angels of God were going up and down on this ladder. And Adonai was standing beside Jacob, and God said, I am Adonai, the God of your father Abraham and the God of Isaac. I always love that. He doesn't say the God of Jacob because he's talking to Jacob. I think that's pretty cool. The ground on which you are lying I will assign to you and your offspring. Your descendants shall be as the dust of the earth. You shall spread out to the west and the east and the north and the south. All the families of the earth shall bless themselves by you and your descendants. Remember, I am with you. I will protect you wherever you go. I will bring you back to this land, and I will not leave you until I have done what I promised you. Jacob awoke from his sleep and said, surely Adonai is present in this place, and I did not know it. Shaken. He had just had an encounter with God. This was an awesome moment in his life. He was shaken. How awesome is this place? It is none other than the abode of God, and this is the gateway to heaven. Early in the morning, Jacob took the stone that he had put under his head and set it up on a pillar and poured oil on top of it. He named that site Bethel, house of God, but previously the name of the city had been Luz. Shortly after that, he goes to find his wife. He finds Rachel, and then the whole story ensues where he works for 7 years for Rachel, and then he marries Leah instead by trickery. Then he has to work for another 7 years to marry Rachel. Then he works for another 7 years for flocks and sheep. So I do imagine that finding Rachel felt like Beshert, felt like God's plan. But 20 years later, he must have had despair. It couldn't have been his original plan, and that's a long time. Aviva Zornberg calls this his dark night of the soul. A time when Jacob must have felt like God was absent from his life. He had just had this amazing experience. He'd been reassured God would be there, and then pretty nasty things happen. His father-in-law is a deceitful, creepy guy who sneaks in the wrong wife, gives it bark, and then doesn't even he marries Rachel just a week or so later, but he has to wait he's supposed to work 7 more years. When it's time to leave, there's a whole thing with the flocks getting divided up, and he has to work another 7 years. Life couldn't have been so good. And that's why Aviva Zornberg uses this term, dark night of the soul. Well, growing up Jewish and even going to rabbinical school, I had never heard the term dark night of the soul. It's actually more of a Catholic term to describe a period of time when a person feels in darkness, when they feel like they're walking without a light, without God's light guiding them, without companionship, without a sense of comfort in the world. They feel a sense of being alone. I first learned of this term when I was studying to be a spiritual director about 15 years ago. And I was very taken with it. Not necessarily in a personal sense, but in a more general sense of people feeling this sense of absence and aloneness. But I found it particularly interesting here to see Jacob in this moment. He was in a dark time. He'd been deceived by Laban, but he was also in a dark time because he had to wrestle with his own demons. He hadn't been very nice to his brother Esau. He had tricked him and stolen the birthright with the bowl of soup. And then he tricked him again and stole the blessing from their father. And he was running away. He was pretty much scared for his life. It was a dark time. When you hear about a dark night of the soul, though, it's not a permanent state of being. The goal is that it's, if you have one, that it's something you journey through, that you get through and get to the other side and reconnect in some way to God, to divine energy, to the universe, that you're able to find light in your life. Sometimes it could be very similar to depression, to that feeling of totally being abandoned by the world. But this concept reminds us that there is hope, that there is an ability to see to the other side. At the end of the Parsha, Jacob will again see angels. They will appear to him after this 20 years. He'll get a sign. Now, we might not be so lucky to get a sign from God that looks like an angel, or maybe we will. Maybe we have to be more like Jacob and be able to open our eyes to see what's around us. There's so many angels in our lives. They look like ordinary people, as we've learned from Rabbi Gelman. But we don't always recognize them as angels. That's one of our tasks on earth, to look for them. So what did Jacob do? He woke up and said, God was in this place, but I did not know it. This was an awesome moment. This is the place of God. So I challenge you to open up your eyes, to look for the angels in your life, to look for the moments when God might be there, and to allow yourself to see them. To not be in the dark as Jacob was, but to keep our eyes open all the time. Can you hear Ratzon? We now turn to page 586 as we rise for Aleinu.
Aleinu l'shaber l'adon l'akol, l'ateit gdula yotzer bereshit, shelo asanu kigoye haratzon, v'lo samanu kimishpechot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkeinu kahem,
We turn to page 598 for the Mourner's Kaddish. This Shabbat, we think of Marvin Marcus, Father Stephen Marcus, for whom we're in a period of Aninut, who will be buried on Monday. We're in the period of Shiva for George Schnapp, father of Daniel Schnapp, and David, and Darren, and Randy, and husband of Anita. For Joseph Gossel, father of Peter Gossel. And we are in the month of mourning Shloshim for Marvin Schiff, husband of Joan and father of Eric. For Amy Swirsky, mother of Corey and Ava, and Thelma Vega, friend of Jan Feynman. We also recall with great love those whose yurtzites fall at this season. Gerald Bastien, Min Blumenthal, Miriam Risdell, Muriel Brown, Bernard Cohen, Jonas Deutsch, Charles Fogelman, Sam Friedfeld, Norman Friedman, Enid Geller, Jessica Barry Goldstein, Elsie Greenstein, Rudy Katz, Roberta Kerman, Sarah Gelly Leinhart, Leah Mallon, Jeffrey Manoff, Brian Michnikowski, Maurice Murray Oliver, Albert Pinto, Andrew Rabinow, Bernard Rashbaum, Judy Rose, Fred Rosner, Ray Radofsky, Daniel Sennett, Sanford Susserman, Lawrence Taff, Bunny Willen, Jack Yeager, and June Young. Zikronam Livracha. Is there anyone else you are saying Kaddish for this evening? I need to open up the chat. Michael Carter. We join together. Yit Gadal V'Yit Kadash Shemei Rabbah V'Yamad Yivrach Yerutei V'Yamlich Malchutei V'Chayechon V'Yomechon V'Chayei D'Kol Beit Yisrael V'Agalav V'Zman Kariv V'Imru Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah Mevorach Le'olam Omei Omaya Yibarak V'Yishtabach V'Yipa'ar V'Yitromam V'Yitnaseh V'Yitadar V'Yitalev V'Yitalal Shemei Kudasha B'Richu Leila Minko Birchata V'Shirata Tushbachata V'Nechemata Damira V'Yama V'Imru Amen. Yehei Shlomo Rabba Min Shemaya V'Chaim Aleinu V'Yakol Yisrael V'Imru Amen. Oseh Shalom B'Mromav Huya Aseh Shalom Aleinu V'Yakol Yisrael V'Imru Amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved. And let us say, Amen. We remain standing as we turn to page 122, 123, and we invite Daniel and William back with their dad, David Israel, to grab one of the Kiddush cups. We'll get the other one for you for the kiddush. You guys come on up. We'll take care of the Kiddush cups. Up. Walk. We have a time limit here. Middle. Go to the cantor. Right there. You can put one of the cups down. I think we have to add more time because of that too. No, we're good. I like your key pods. They're very cool. Islanders, Knicks. Mets? Right, but what's just New York sports teams?
Syracuse, Knicks,
You got an applause for Syracuse.
heaven and the earth were finished, and all their array. On the seventh day, God finished the work that God had been doing, and God ceased on the seventh day from all the work that God had done. And God blessed the seventh day and declared it holy, because on it God ceased from all the work of creation that God had done.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kadeshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu b'shabbat kodsho be'ahava u'ratzon hilhilanu zikaron lema'aseh bereshit Ki hu yom tehila l'nikra'ei kodesh zecher l'yetziat Mitzrayim ki banu v'charta ve'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim b'shabbat kodeshecha ve'ahava u'ratzon in Hatanu, Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh Hashem.
Amen. L'chaim.
Have a sip. Please be seated.
You guys stay.
You guys stay up here, and Dr. Goldstein has some words from the congregation.
We're at a time limit. Here are your gifts. So it is my privilege and honor to represent the Board of Trustees and give you your gifts tonight. The first gift that you just used, the Kiddush cup, it's from the Brotherhood and Sisterhood. Hopefully you use that at many mitzvahs in the future. Use it proudly. One day when you're old enough, it could be filled with anything of your liking. And then we have a few lovely gifts from the temple. We have a beautiful certificate of bar mitzvah, one for each of you, for Daniel and for William. This is beautiful and proudly display that. That represents the hard work getting to this day. You know this, you saw your brother go through it, you've had to go through it. It's a lot of work. We're proud of you. Thank you for doing this. We also have Knicks tickets. Oh, no, wait, hold on. It's a year membership to the Suffolk JCC. That's also good. You can use that one. We have a gift certificate towards a nifty trip to Israel. You can ask both Susan and Vanessa in the back about how great Israel is. You can take advantage of that at some point. And we're really excited for you guys tomorrow. Daniel, Mazel Tov, and William. Congratulations.
We take a moment now as we pray for healing. We turn to page 371. We pray for Martin Shulman, for Elliot Levitch, for Diane Strager, for Juan Carlos, for John